Hi, I'm Earl. Welcome to Made from Wood. Today I'd like to show you an auxiliary clamping table I made for my drill press. I watched a YouTube video by Jack Howling about a month ago. He made a small I-beam table to go on his drill press, and I liked the idea, so I made one myself. I used it for a couple of weeks and decided that I could make some changes to it that would work better for me, and I'd like to show you that today. The vertical center section is a torsion box made from two pieces of 1/4 inch plywood, separated by strips of 3/4 inch oak. The two vertical end pieces are 3/8 inch plywood. The top piece is a lamination of two pieces of 5/8 inch plywood plus a 1/4 inch top surface. The bottom piece has only one piece of 5/8 inch plywood plus the 1/4 inch layer. The top is 23 by 10 inches and the bottom is 23 by 7 inches. The table may be flipped and used either way. I clamped the table to the commercial table already on the drill press. The top and bottom have a sacrificial insert that's a sliding dovetail cut at 30 degrees. Workpieces may be clamped on with smaller F-style clamps. Even better are vice grip style clamps made for table use. I use wing nuts to secure these clamps in one of the slots on the table. The only fence I've made for it so far is just a piece of plywood secured with bolts and wing nuts. I'll probably make a fence with adjustable stops in the future. The table may be moved easily to properly position the workpiece under the drill bit. Now let's look at the build process. The first step is to rip and cross-cut the plywood pieces that will be used in this project. Next, I needed to lay out one of the oval shapes that will be cut out in the middle of the center section. I used a 3-inch radius on this, and there's about an inch difference in the width versus the height on it, so it's a slight oval. Then I drilled a starting hole and used a jigsaw to rough cut the oval shape. The opening was sanded to the line using an oscillating drum sander. Changing the router bit and setting its height is easy with the router lift I made from plans by John Heiss of ibuildit.ca. I'll include a link in the description below. Double-sided carpet tape works great to hold the two pieces together so that a pattern cutting bit can be used. After removing the router table fence and turning on the dust collector, I began routing the oval in the second piece. I then separated the two pieces and applied more carpet tape. After drilling 2 more holes, I route the 2 ovals. A trim router with a 1/8 inch roundover bit eases the edges. Next, pieces of 3/4 by 7/8 inch oak from my cutoff bin were cut to length. The first piece of oak is glued and pinned into position on the plywood. Then the remaining 4 pieces were attached. The second piece of plywood is now glued and pinned to the other side. This makes a strong, stable torsion box. I now clamp the assembly with my L-style clamps, 3 35-pound lead weights. It's important that this assembly be square, so I trim the edges slightly on the table saw. Now the end pieces can be glued, pinned, and clamped onto the center assembly. This completes the vertical section, which is 9 inches high, 10 inches wide at the top, and 7 inches wide at the bottom. I mark a 3/8 section in the middle of both pieces of 1/4 inch plywood, which will be the work surface. After setting the bevel on the table saw to 30 degrees, I cut out the 3-inch center section from both pieces. The center section will become a sacrificial insert. The left piece is glued and pinned to the 5/8 inch plywood piece. I used the insert to space the right piece and glued and pinned it. I was careful not to get any squeeze out on the insert. Weights were used to clamp the pieces together. I made a stack of inserts for both sides while the table saw was set up. I drilled a series of 3/8 inch holes about 2 inches apart and 1 1/2 inches from the edge of the top and bottom assemblies. Next, I drew lines from the holes to the edges. Then I used a crosscut sled on the table saw to cut the slots out on the top and bottom pieces. Finally, the top and bottom pieces were glued to the vertical section and clamped with my L-series clamps. This is going to be a handy accessory in my shop. It was easy to build and very inexpensive. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button below and also subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.